Scorpio, welcome back for your Twin Flame Toolkit. Okay, it's connected to astrology and I'll add to it as I have time. I'll add different elements, and obviously when I'm sensing things intuitively, I'll write them down in notes and I'll add them and incorporate them into the readings each month. Now, what you need to be mindful of is research your North Node. That's because a lot of what your spiritual path is directly connected to past life frequency, which is generally your South Node. So to find your North Node, it is connected to your rising sign. So your true node will be what you're needing to move towards, in a sense of you becoming that zodiac sign more so than your birth sign. Now, if you're needing help with it, again, do book a reading and I can give you a hand with it. But working with your North Node is part of something that's really going to give you a huge hand. Also working with the Sun and the Moon frequency, you know, checking in with your ego, checking with anything that's coming up astrologically speaking for you, spiritually, of what can come up in sense of blocks. They're the pain body experience. And then in the Moon frequency, during the transits, you'll also have mindsets, shifts in perspective and perception, and then releases of perspective and perception and growth. And that can be where you have a descent and an ascension symptoms coming through. When it feels like your Kundalini's shut down, it's because you have a major blockage and energetically perhaps your pain body can't cope with any more than what it's directly dealing with. So it's very healthy to understand how you work, how your body works, and what's going on with it. So being mindful of how you work with spirituality, how it directly correlates and links in with you. Also, coming to a place where you have direct union with yourself and you're on track with your North Node can then align you correctly for union. Now, what is coming up in January is the partial solar eclipse, and that's happening, it's moving into Capricorn on the 1st, and on the 6th it's having the partial solar eclipse. So again, this is root chakra and third eye. So I'll mention the chakras, but again, it's probably more, in a sense, get into light body frequency moving into 2019, obviously, which on my other channel, YILDIZ readings, which you can find in the inside the video. What you will find, what I've already previously mentioned for those of you who are rolling over to this channel, is that getting into light body frequency is really going to assist us moving into 2019 in January, because we do have 2 eclipse segments coming through. So during this time, what you're going to find is it's falling in your 9th and your 3rd house. So the 9th house for you with the partial eclipse is something that you're going to be dealing with for the next 6 months. The 3rd house as well. So the 9th house is connected to your spiritual beliefs and your spiritual growth, so it can be really an expansion of that. Or you might be being harder on yourself, though. Maybe there were some things that you could have achieved more so spiritually, but maybe didn't get to achieve in 2018, but you're wanting to do them this year. So whatever you're spiritually connected to, more than likely your twin, and your communication aspect, the communication coming to a grounded level, being able to communicate with them, your ideas being able to be transmuted and short, you know, getting out and about as well, really having a bit more work-life balance, a bit more balanced energetically in yourself if you've had the upgrade, so to speak. It's something that you're going to be working on over the next 6 months, really trying to find that life balance and reconnecting with society, so to speak. But anything else that comes up around that time, very separately to this area, in an epiphany moment, is really going to be something you're going to be working on during that partial eclipse for the next 6 months. So pay attention to that and be mindful that, you know, especially if you're having communication with your twin, taking the baby steps and understanding it's going to take 6 months to get to that grounded point. It's not like automatically it's a bed of roses and we move into that frequency of it's being perfect. It's 2 very new people coming back to the table, and you always have to look at the situation like that. The 2nd eclipse is very much, it's in Leo. And again, it's a total eclipse. And there are other transits around that time that are correlating with this total eclipse. This total eclipse is, and may be connected to tower moments and endings. There's no point getting to the point where you panic. Absolutely no point, because if you've done a lot of the work in 2018, you'll find you'll move with the tides. Anything that is going, don't panic. More get to the point you look at it from the perspective of, okay, tower moments happen, there's dust everywhere. Can't see the hay for the clouds. What do? I stop. Okay, stop, look and listen. Then on yellow, like traffic lights, you assess it, you process it, you decide, but you don't necessarily have to take elaborate grand action. It's really not the best time around the 19th to the end of the month to make any brash decisions, because they will not be set in stone. It's whatever's coming down is to rejig, and it can even be intuitively you tuning into your twin that something's changed. Especially any position where the 12th house is covered, which I'll fine point that and mention it to you. So with this eclipse, it is connected to your belief systems, your higher education, your philosophies and long distance travel. It's also connected to your 10th house of your employment sector, children, and the way you perceive yourself, your public image, what you put out there to the world. So a lot of that's going to have a rejig and a change. And it can come to an end in an egoic state that perhaps you start getting to a simpler way of being and a simpler way of doing things. Your core belief systems may be very different to the way you were previously in 2018, so it can be really highlighting that. It could be a slight purge for you. So the tower moment could be an internal situation, but definitely be cautious around your work. If you feel the need to change it, try and be mindful, especially around Mercury, which we'll get into shortly. I'll cross-reference and see if it covers it. Because with the communication with work, you know, if your higher self is telling you, and it's very common in a twin flame journey, that your work life suddenly starts to come to a place where it just doesn't directly link to you anymore, because you are transforming and you're becoming more real about who you are to the core. And a lot of us collectively are going to be doing this, where we just won't directly relate to our jobs or people or tribes. And the more we come into ourselves, it's not an egoic state to be, sorry, I just don't gel with you, so I don't want to be with you. It's just really being very truthful to yourself. But certain pockets of twins will come to a state where you won't need to avoid people. You'll actually have more telepathic connection and understanding of the ways they're directly relating, and the pain body experience they're actually projecting towards you from, that it directly isn't connected to you. It's more to do with their pain body experience. Now, in the house of, with the sun entering Aquarius on the 20th, again, it's near the total eclipse. And this can be changes around that time as well in these areas also. Now, again, the sun is directly connected to masculine energy, inside you, inside others, as well as father figures. So what can be highlighted is perhaps pain body experience if we're coming from an egoic state, or maybe overall in the brighter side of things, because there's always the shadow and the light side of the moon and the sun. So there's the darker realms of it, where it's pain body experience and it's egoic state. And it can be victim consciousness as well as with the moon, it's the same situation. So with the sun, it would be where, due to past tense pain experience, we might be coming across as we're very evolved and being very almost like Mars, planet of war. This is who I am, you know, let me hear the rap. But really, when you've moved past that, you'll understand that there's nothing you need to do. There's certain things within yourself you can heal, but there's things in other people that you'll have direct compassion and understanding, but you'll come to a place, no will mean no and yes will mean yes, and it won't trigger you. It'll be a very comfortable stance to be in. But understanding that, you know, who you love and what you want, and really you're changing quite a bit this year. So there's certain zodiac signs, there's Taurus, there's Scorpio, Capricorn directly will be changing this year, Taurus as well, and especially with the planets being in those placements in that point in the chart. most of you guys will be changing quite a great deal. So, you know, if you didn't have mass purging during the year, it may be coming through for this group of you guys where that will be coming through in this year. So providing, you know, you have the right guide on YouTube, or you spend that time with yourself and you're actually doing the internal work, looking at your North Node, you're going to find you're going to cope with it fine. Again, we can actually skip steps and charts, and within this lifetime where we can achieve things a lot quicker than, you know, perhaps the plan, so to speak, was. So especially if you listen to one of my videos, or the tarot readings and the psychic readings, if it doesn't directly relate to you, you'll find more the live sessions will directly relate to you, that I'll come to you with. It's not that it's not for you and gosh, why doesn't this connect? It can be that energetically you'll be on to that point. So it depends on the wave you are. Those messages are meant for the ones that it's directly connected to. So in Mercury, I've just lost my voice, Mercury, it's in Capricorn on the 5th. Now this is near the partial solar eclipse, and it's directly connected to communication. So it's in your 3rd house of communication, interestingly enough. You're needing to really meditate upon how to communicate. It is governing root chakra and 3rd eye. So knowing the truth of situations when you're communicating, being very cautious when you communicate. That's why the throat chakra is coming through. It's also connected to the way in which you're expressing yourself. So if you're cross-referencing, and this is your twin, yes, the capacity is that they're meditating upon communication with you. Also, they're looking at other people's resources, what they want to stand for, you know, what needs to go, what can be regenerated, how it can be regenerated with you. Also, they're looking at their friends and their associates. So, you know, with Scorpion, you're looking at people and how you directly connect. And it might be you feel you're in your tribe, or you feel you're just not. And you've got to get to a point where you're connecting with people that feel more on your wavelength. Mercury in Aquarius on the 24th, which is the next placement, is near the total lunar eclipse. Now this again is root chakra, but throat chakra, so communication. So it may be in the beginning of the month you're thinking about communicating, which is good because it doesn't mean communication's not there. It means you're thinking before you're speaking, which is important. That can be advice. The second part of the month is very much where you're directly communicating. Now, what's coming through for that is the 4th house, anything connected to domestic situations, karmic frequencies you're currently in or they are in. What was the foundation previously, where it stands right now, or what you're currently dealing with if you're in a soulmate or a karmic relationship and you feel just things aren't balanced. You know, you're looking at it and you're going, I really don't know what to do, but I need to address this energy. Be very cautious the way you communicate, you know, because what is coming through is for your zodiac sign, particularly in general, very separate to twin flames, there's groups of you who are on the cusp where you're either in all hands on deck, so bizarre, or there's absolutely everything you're going to do to get this back on the ground. Okay, so it's kind of like two energies coming through. So with Mercury, my daughter, Mercury in Aquarius on the 24th, again, you're looking at the direct foundation. This can be connections to parents, or you being a direct parent, and the reason why you're looking at things in a particular way and wanting to communicate about things. It's also with the 8th house, what you want to stand for and what you want things to be, and if you can get things back off the ground. And with the 11th house, again, it's about who your tribe is and if this directs to you. So it might be you're talking to your friends in relation to your twin flame journey and you're trying to kind of process what to do from here. Now, Saturn is also extremely important. Saturn and the placement of Uranus, where it comes in your chart, is very important. And the reason I'm saying that is that's where we're going to be growing this year. Jupiter as well, obviously, but spiritually speaking, those two placements, Saturn telling you the truth. Universe always gives you 3 warnings. You get the aha moment. You know, it might be a 3D situation happening and you're thinking, gosh, I really need to change that. You'll then get the physical example, and then if you don't, your hands force. So the areas that Saturn in Capricorn, which is its own home sign, is governing, again, root chakra, keep grounded, so it can be family related dynamics. It's the second house, third house, and fourth house. Now, the second house is to do with, again, your assets, land, and property, and what you're going to do from here, needing to address that factor, or looking at the bigger picture of that, your possessions, etc., your communication, and your ideas, the way in which you're going to communicate it, or communicate in general, what's changing with that. Also, the physical foundation, what's grounded, what's not. Any domestic related dynamics, endings, and parents. So it can be that your world is turning upside down and you're knowing you need to change some things in order to have the life that you're wishing to have. Now, Jupiter in Sagittarius is connected to sacral chakra. You have, in this placement moving into January, your second and your fifth house. Now, again, it's connected to your resources and land. So it might be, with Jupiter asking you to expand beyond that, is that yes, you need to directly address those things, and you have a perspective of what is growth. And it might be you're growing beyond to the point of requiring assets, or you're growing your nest egg of your finances and building upon it and trying to bring back something that was looking quite fruitless to become quite bold and beautiful. But again, it'll be something you're working on for 6 months. So you can drag it out, but it's looking quite heavy in the chart at the moment that you're really focusing on it and working out what you're going to do. And especially with Jupiter, it's very flighty. So be very grounded and try and have a set routine, especially in your twin flame journey at the moment. Anything 3D that's happening does directly connect to your twin flame journey, because what happens to you in your life as part of your spiritual transformation is directly linked to your twin. So as you become aligned, you will find it will flow. Now, the 2 times you might actually get triggered from your twin flame journey is at the 2 eclipse points, I would say. Either in a 3D notion, you're actually going to have direct communication, or from a download frequency, because near the moons, you're going to find that the energy either side is going to be quite heavy. If you're directly focusing on things, you won't feel the frequency. If you aren't, you will get the downloads, and they'll be quite loud. But it usually will correlate between something major happening with you. It'll go quiet on their side. Then something major will happen on their side, and it'll be quiet on your side, and you'll get the download, and you'll be going through a purge, like you're literally filtering it. And then when you're really coming into duality, it'll be quiet. Which for some, it was like December was feeling that way, and everyone's going, why can't I feel my twin? It's almost like you're in shock, but you're in your own frequency. You're in your little bubble. It's coming back, so don't stress. Now, next, Pluto. Okay, Pluto in Capricorn. We are halfway through the cycle, so it takes about 12 to 31 years. So I believe it's about 2026. So we're halfway through that cycle. Now, with Pluto, it can mean birth, deaths, endings, changes, tower moments, okay? But whatever is happening is for our higher good, so we need to trust in that process. Again, when the total eclipse happens, do not make brash decisions. Like, really stay grounded, absorb all the information. Don't make just angry, egoic state decisions. Really be very grounded when you're making decisions. If you've already made a decision, you need to directly deal with it. If you haven't, and that can be if you're choosing to end a karmic relationship and you're looking at it thinking, oh, you know, you don't want to get to the point where Saturn forces your hand. If you feel energetically you're with someone that doesn't feel spiritually aligned to you and you already made your decision up, I do feel very strongly that if you're wanting that firm foundation moving forward, it is a healthier time to actually do it at the beginning of the month over the end of the month, especially near the lunar eclipse, which can cause confusion and communication. Now, your employment may be changing as well, your health and the way you do things. But I do feel whatever you're upgrading and changing, it's due to the fact that you're spiritually changing. Now, Neptune in Pisces, third eye and sacral chakra. Now, this is a placement of where we can have illusions, dreams, but it can kind of make us focus on other things when we need to be focusing on the direct 3D notion of what's going on. And it's in your 5th house. So it can be you have an illusion or delusion about the fact that A, you're not a twin flame, or B, that perhaps the situation you're currently in is just where you belong, and that's the way it should be. So again, interestingly enough, really with the Pluto placement and other placements, if you directly do know to the core prior to all these transits that you in fact are in a wrong situation, don't lie to yourself in that area and delude yourself that things are going to change, because if you spiritually have changed, that's already occurred. It's almost like a walk-in where you've changed but you don't want to address it, and you're trying to delude yourself with that, and you can only do that for so long. Uranus and Taurus, crown chakra and heart chakra. Now this area is going to feel uncomfortable for many, but especially people that have the Taurus placement. And that can be within your natal chart. Obviously, this is the transits through each house for you. Your own natal chart will be very different to the actual transit. So you can directly kind of put both together and see at what stage you are from birth to where you are. And, you know, usually when you have certain planets return, especially have a look at your Lilith placement. Those of you that do have Lilith, I'll mention that on the other channel, but I'll probably go into it a bit later. Now, with the changes happening through Uranus placement with Taurus at the moment, it will feel uncomfortable. It's where we're energetically being asked to change, but Taurus wants everything to stay the same and stay safe and stay, you know, it's that safe notion I'm hearing. So it might feel uncomfortable to do these changes, yet our higher self knows on a spiritual level we physically have to. This is in your 4th house and your 7th house. So it's connected to the psychological foundation you're currently in. So if it's a healthy one or a non-healthy one, any domestic related issues, endings, and parents. So if you are in a situation and you feel energetically it's not correct, and it can be a past tense frequency, a notion that you had connected to your twin flame journey that you need to release and let go of in a pain body experience. So it doesn't have to directly be a 3D connection. It can directly be a spiritual way that you've been perceiving things, and you energetically need to let it go to lighten your body up to move forward in a frequency sense. Now, the 7th house is connected to parents, spouses, and codependent frequency. So if you're believing you can't go due to finances, or you can't do X, Y, and Z connected to finances in any given situation, it's actually showing you to have an understanding connected to that and grow beyond that point, and it is in your chart. So it's part of what Saturn will be showing you as well. Let's have a look at Mars. Okay, so the Mars placement is in Aries, and that is on the 1st of January. So Mars directly connected with the first eclipse, moving all the way through to the total eclipse. It's going to go direct to the whole month. Throat chakra, root chakra. The areas it's going to be highlighting of what you're going to be quite direct with is it can be your appearance, your abilities to actually financially provide for yourself. So it can be that you're in a panic and a tangent and you're trying to actually tie up loose ends and get things done. It also can be that you're changing that dynamic and you're really coming out tenfold. So just be very cautious of your movements, especially when it comes to extremes, and especially with Jupiter, because it's about expansion, but at the same time it can kind of be really out there with different placements where we can just go to excess and then we're regretful directly after. The 6th house is also in Mars. It'll be your employment. It will be moving forward. Your health will be something that you'll fiercely be looking at, as well as what you can actually do and where the power is, where you have power directly in certain situations. Now, with Venus and Sagittarius, again, there is this Saturn aspect to it, because Saturn is in its own home sign. Now, again, this is a day after the partial solar eclipse. It's in heart chakra frequency and sacral chakra frequency. So really assessing those factors of the heart and what you're passionate about. And the 1st house is connected to your self-image, your ability to look after yourself and what you can bring to the table. So you may be assessing that factor. And perhaps even from a past tense notion in the twin flame journey, what you did before and what you're able to now, where you stand, what you're willing to, what you're willing not to. In the second house, it's connected to your resources and your employment and value. Again, if you're tying up loose ends, in a sense of transferring land over in titles, etc., it can be coming up in your chart in relation to that in that particular way. And again, the 12th house is coming up in Venus. Now, this is cautioning against any karmic activities, recreating karmic cycles. The 12th house can be connected to affairs, so intuitively in your Venus house, directly connected, because you are intuitively connected with your twin, you might be knowing that the conversation is going to come up if there had been an affair on either side, or there had been underhanded activities, codependency, etc. So it may be energetically you're tuned into the fact that this conversation is going to happen. If this is something currently that is happening, be very, very cautious. Because it can be something that is going to recreate a longer way round the journey, as well as cause conflict for you, because it is, you know, deemed as the karmic position. It can also be the telepathic aspect in the Venus house you hold with your twin. And around these times, from the 7th, it may be that energetically you know something's changed, especially near the partial solar eclipse. So tune into anything that's coming through for you around that time. Now, Chiron in Pisces is going to show some old wounds that may come up. And this can be in the place of, again, your assets, what you have to bring to the table, your personal value and self-esteem, communication, the way you express yourself, and again, the physical dynamic of your current foundation. It can be your home, your abode, any person you're currently with, how it directly was before, children and romance. So if they're coming up, it's more so that you can have a look at the whole thing collectively. And we do actually have the nodes currently in Cancer and Capricorn. So those elements can be coming up for us. In a sense of integrating family, becoming more strict with our employment and the way we want to move things forward. So just bear that in mind when it comes to the movement forward. And I will see you during the month for all of the psychic downloads I get. As for the other videos for your direct twin flame, they're in a separate folder for January, and they will also be a mid-month as well. So you get a bit of combination this month. And if you are wanting a booking, link below.